We spend our days connecting digital dots instead of doing real work.
Yeah, we drag a line from box A to box B, and we just call it progress.
Right. Beat. But what if those very boxes are actually the underlying problem? What if the real work is happening somewhere else entirely?
It is a massive shift in how we think about our daily tasks.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we have a really fascinating guide from 2026. We are looking at a complete paradigm shift.
We are talking about the complete transition from traditional node-based automation to agentic workflows.
Our mission today is to explore exactly why clicking manual nodes is totally dead. We will see how AI agents act as teammates rather than simple tools.
And we're going to show you how to ride this massive market wave. It is effectively shifting your entire operational mindset from micro to macro.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand the future of automation, we must first examine present friction.
Yeah, think about the old way of using NEN, Make, or Zapier.
Right. Building workflows in those platforms was essentially like stacking digital Lego blocks.
Exactly. You start with a totally blank canvas. Then you pick a specific trigger.
You carefully add individual action nodes, one by excruciating one. It was undeniably a massive step forward for productivity back then.
Oh, absolutely. But that system inherently contains a very glaring foundational problem. It forces you to be the overarching architect of the system.
And the granular builder at the exact same time.
Right. You have to meticulously detail exactly how to do every single thing. If you miss one small data connection, the entire workflow shatters.
The source text actually calls this nightmare scenario the spiderweb problem.
What's fascinating here is how quickly that complexity spirals entirely out of control. You need an HTTP node just to fetch your initial raw data.
Then a separate function node is required to change that data's formatting.
Yeah. And finally, you need a database node to actually save the whole thing.
It takes a massive amount of mental energy to manage those parts.
Uh,
You're constantly clicking and dragging.
You are constantly checking highly specific settings to maintain stability. It kind of feels like you're driving a sports car with the handbrake on.
It really does. And then you inevitably run headfirst into the absolute nightmare of variable mapping.
Oh, variable mapping. That is basically linking specific data points from early to later workflow steps.
Right. Let's say you have a massive workflow with 50 different nodes running. Trying to connect node 45 back to node 1 is incredibly painful.
You're essentially trying to find a digital needle in a massive data haystack. It is so fragile. Changing one early element breaks the entire chain downstream.
That fragility creates a friction that severely slows down your actual deep work. The text uses a brilliant coffee analogy to explain this philosophical shift.
I loved this part. The old way is basically like writing a 50-page manual on coffee making.
You have to meticulously explain grinding beans and heating water to 95 degrees. You're forced to detail the exact angle and speed of the pour itself.
That is the ultimate example of micromanaging the how of a process, but the new agentic way. You just say, I want a hot latte, no sugar.
You're simply defining the what and letting the system calculate the execution route. But doesn't losing that manual control mean we inherently lose system precision?
Not at all. You actually shift precision from the sequential steps to the final acceptance criteria. You define the strict operational boundaries, and the AI autonomously optimizes the route.
Got it. We trade micromanaging nodes for macromanaging outcomes.
Precisely. And because the friction of micromanaging nodes became so incredibly unsustainable historically,
The technology naturally had to evolve into distinct waves just to survive. So what does this all mean for the tools we use daily?
if we connect this to the bigger picture, the evolution is pretty striking. Wave 1 was the chatbot era, basically just ChatGPT trapped in a box.
It was absolutely great for brainstorming ideas or drafting quick marketing emails.
Right, but it was completely stuck inside that chat interface without any real agency.
Then came Wave 2. This combined AI directly with traditional automation platforms. You could connect an AI model directly into a tool like N8N.
The AI could finally act. It could summarize a document and save it to folders. It definitely added necessary logic and memory, but there was a major catch.
You were still acting as the primary digital plumber for the entire system.
Yeah, you still had to manually build all those intricate pipes yourself.
Which naturally brings us to Wave 3, the era of agentic workflows.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
We're talking about incredibly powerful autonomous... The AI actually builds the entire pipe system itself.
You simply describe the overarching goal in plain English to the system.
The agent then writes the script, sets up the environment, and executes it.
Let's talk about the system's ability to self-heal. We know that an API is a digital bridge, letting two software programs talk to each other.
Exactly. And when that bridge changed in Wave 2, your workflow broke instantly. You had to physically go in and fix the broken connection yourself.
In Wave 3, the agent actively sees the error and hews the connection. Well, wait, let me push back on this timeline for just a second here. Connecting Claude to NAN felt absolutely revolutionary just a hot minute ago, and now we're saying that approach is already considered the old way.
I know it sounds crazy, but the market numbers completely validate the shift. We are looking at a system market jumping from $5 billion in 2024
To a staggering $200 billion industry by the year 2034.
That is an absolutely massive reallocation of enterprise technology spending across the board. Roughly 96% of big businesses are actively demanding this specific technology.
And about half of them will have it fully running by 2027. If you want to stay relevant, you absolutely need to adopt this mindset. How does the AI know how to fix a broken pipe by itself?
When an API changes, the agent encounters the specific error, autonomously searches the API's latest documentation, and rewrites its own integration code to match.
So it reads the new manual and rewrites its own code. Incredible.
It truly changes how we approach software engineering at a fundamental level.
But that magic claim is exactly where veteran developers naturally get pretty skeptical. To see if it holds up, we need to put it through a stress test.
Let's look at building a daily YouTube monitoring system under both paradigms. A side-by-side comparison perfectly illustrates the massive reduction in daily operational friction.
The old manual path essentially turns you into a digital plumber right away. You start by setting up complex schedule triggers to check the time daily.
Then you have to manually configure HTTP requests just to fetch the data. You're constantly managing API keys, which are basically secure passwords you must guard.
Then you build a Google Sheet memory to track previously processed videos chronologically. You desperately need that memory so you don't accidentally repeat yourself later.
Right. Then you're adding IF nodes to compare new video IDs against older ones. You need dedicated AI nodes just to summarize the freshly pulled video transcripts.
And finally, you configure a Slack node to actually post the finished summary. It's a massive mental drain just to wire all those blocks together cleanly.
It really is. But the agentic path entirely changes your relationship with the actual computer itself. You step completely away from the messy wires and just use plain English.
You open Claude Code and essentially type out a simple conversational text message. You write, check channel at AB, get the transcript, and summarize top 3 takeaways.
Then you add post to Slack A News and don't repeat any previous videos.
The agent automatically handles the complex scheduling, the API keys, and the memory.
You've officially shifted from being a line-level developer to a high-level manager.
2-sec silence. Whoa. Imagine just typing a single sentence and watching entire software architectures build themselves. It really gives you goosebumps when you fully grasp the scaling implications here.
It really does. You just hand the core goal over to a smart teammate. They seamlessly handle all the heavy architectural lifting behind the scenes for you.
If the AI writes the code, where does the code actually live?
The agent dynamically spins up a secure, temporary cloud environment, executes the necessary Python or JavaScript, and then safely tears it down afterward.
Right, the agent creates the environment, runs the script, and manages it.
Exactly. It feels completely seamless, but we definitely need to remain realistic too.
Okay, we are back. Trusting an AI to build a YouTube checker sounds perfectly seamless. But that brings us directly to the inevitable catch of this new paradigm.
Right.
What actually happens when this incredibly smart system inevitably breaks down entirely?
This raises an important question about the stark reality of deploying autonomous agents. They are incredibly powerful, but they are absolutely not flawless magic tricks.
Breaking complex systems is totally normal when you start exploring this new frontier. Let's unpack the biggest hidden danger here, which is called context drift.
Think about talking to a highly caffeinated friend for 5 straight hours. By the end, they completely forget what you originally asked them to do.
AI working memory basically functions in that exact same limited capacity.
Yeah.
If you give an agent too many complex rules, it loses the plot.
It forgets the beginning instructions and starts writing incredibly messy, broken code. Sometimes it even gets stuck in a loop, repeating the same frustrating error.
It completely loses sight of the original goal you assigned to it. I have to be completely honest here and make a vulnerable admission.
Yeah.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself on a surprisingly regular basis. I give it 10 tasks and watch it entirely forget step 2.
It happens to all of us as we push the technology's boundaries, but there is a very clear architectural fix for this memory degradation problem.
You break your massive workflows down into much smaller, highly digestible pieces.
You break one giant agent into 5 smaller, highly specialized microagents instead. You assign specific agents to handle specific, narrowly defined jobs within the system.
It keeps the AI perfectly focused on executing one single objective flawlessly. Then there is the second major risk we must address: AI hallucinations.
Hallucinations are very real. An AI can be incredibly confident while completely wrong. It might confidently invent features or APIs that simply don't exist anywhere.
Or it confidently writes code that looks perfect but fails upon actual execution. Because LLMs are predictive text engines, they often want to please you blindly.
The definitive fix here is forcing the AI to use plan mode constantly. You essentially make the agent show you its exact intentions before executing anything.
This allows you to verify the logic before any actual digital damage occurs.
It lets you catch those hallucinated mistakes early in the development cycle. And that leads directly into the critical issue of overarching security and management.
You simply cannot treat agents with a set-it-and-forget-it mentality. Agents are actively writing and running code on your behalf in the background.
You desperately need system alerts to know immediately if the agent fails. You need detailed execution logs to see exactly what actions it actually took.
And you need strictly enforced limits on its computational and financial resources. You should absolutely never give an autonomous agent an unlimited corporate credit card.
Absolutely not. You must cap their spending and execution time right out of the gate.
Why does breaking tasks into 5 agents actually solve the drift problem?
Because smaller tasks drastically reduce the context window burden, keeping the AI's limited working memory perfectly focused on executing one single manageable objective.
Smaller tasks mean less memory burden, keeping the AI strictly focused.
That's it, exactly. And knowing how to mitigate these risks allows us to build safely.
We can build incredibly complex systems now without constantly fearing catastrophic system failure. And that outlines the safest possible path for you to start learning today.
Let's look at this sophisticated LinkedIn agent example to see this complex safety. You can use Claude Code directly in a terminal to monitor your ClickUp.
You give it one clear prompt without ever dragging a single digital box. You tell it, when a task is added, grab the core title.
The agent automatically uses that title to search the web for 2026 data. It autonomously writes a highly targeted 300-word post based on that latest research.
Then it triggers an external image tool called Nano Banana 2 for graphics. You tell it to create a beautiful 1080 by 1080 social media infographic natively.
Finally, it seamlessly posts the entire completed package back to your ClickUp workspace. All of that complex orchestration happens from one single plain English prompt.
But here is the critical technical detail we really need to highlight today. It's about gracefully handling the inevitable wait during complex media generation tasks.
Making a high-quality infographic typically takes a system about 30 seconds to render. In the old way, a 30-second wait usually caused massive pipeline problems.
Traditional manual wait nodes were unreliable and often caused the entire workflow timeout.
But agentic workflows handle that 30-second delay incredibly smoothly without breaking anything whatsoever. They naturally pause, verify the output continuously, and continue when the image arrives.
It saves you so much energy and worry regarding system timeout failures. So how do you actually learn to orchestrate this kind of magic safely?
The source text outlines a very practical 3-step learning path for absolute beginners. Step 1 might actually surprise you. Definitely do not delete your N8N account.
You absolutely must retain everything you learned about foundational system logic first. You still need to grasp triggers, actions, data flow, and basic error handling.
You should build 3 to 5 simple workflows just to grasp the fundamentals. You also desperately need to understand what JSON and API keys actually do.
JSON is a simple text format used for storing and sending software data.
Understanding its structure gives you the baseline intuition to spot AI-generated logic errors.
Exactly. You can't be a good agent manager without knowing what good plumbing looks like. Step 2 is diving in and trying real agent tools for yourself.
Use tools like Claude Code or Windsurf to execute single-prompt tasks quickly. You need to intimately see the sheer power of one single natural command.
Watch it dynamically write code and connect disparate software systems right before your eyes. And step 3 is using AI as your dedicated personal automation mentor daily.
Instead of endlessly searching forums for buttons, just ask ChatGPT for architectural guidance. Ask it directly, how do I systematically connect YouTube to Slack in AN?
Let the AI patiently explain the underlying logic behind every single connection step. You have to get entirely comfortable talking about advanced automation with AI entities.
It is the only way forward.
Is starting with drag-and-drop tools really necessary if they're becoming entirely obsolete?
Yes, because thoroughly understanding the fundamental logic of triggers and data routing effectively protects you when the AI inevitably hallucinates a broken path.
Yes. Learning the basic logic protects you when the AI eventually makes a mistake.
It is your ultimate safety net. You absolutely have to build that intuition early.
So what does this all mean? We're reaching the end of our incredibly fascinating deep dive today. Let's quickly recap the massive, overarching big idea we've been exploring here.
The era of meticulously hand-wiring manual workflows is definitively coming to a close. We are shifting entirely from the granular how to the overarching what today.
Natural language is effectively becoming the brand new code for the entire internet. You are transforming from a micromanaging builder into a high-level strategic system director.
The autonomous agent is essentially becoming your highly capable, tireless digital teammate now. It expertly navigates the underlying technical complexity completely on your behalf.
It builds the intricate pipes, heals the broken connections, and executes the vision.
And it allows you to tap directly into a massive $200 billion market shift.
I want to leave you with one profoundly interesting thought to mull over. The source text contains a truly fascinating analogy about your daily operational leverage.
Yeah, you're moving away from being the person manually digging a massive ditch.
You are becoming the person operating the heavy excavator from the comfortable driver's seat.
Exactly. What kind of incredible leverage could you build if you simply stopped digging?
We highly encourage you to try writing one single prompt for yourself today. Open Claude Code, describe a simple daily task, and just watch it build.
Just that one single prompt is going to completely shatter your perspective on software. It's absolutely time to find out what you are truly capable of building.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We will catch you next time. Out to your music.